everybody, what's happening? Habit here. Glad you are too. Hope you're all doing excellent as we load up the world and get going. Uh, Sorry for anybody who's keeping track of days, but yeah, yesterday it was so chilly. I kind of was obliged to have a hunker down, get stuff done around the house, and kind of got sucked in. It was not intentional to miss out on our fun and excitement, but it kind of ended up that way. And the reason was that man, I hope I have enough room. Well, it was that it's all your guys' fault, Chad. Don't you know that? Me, started doing those good real life things, such as running the dishwasher, doing some laundry, all that kind of good stuff. And I was like, oh, it's gonna be cold out all day, so I've got time. I'm just gonna mix up the schedule and um, uh, dig these things out. These things, not my story. Don't try to tell a story when you're trying to figure out mathing. All right, which okay, so this is 106, so we need to get over to, or how far can we get? 73. So that's only like 33. I think we're eventually going to have to move uh, our beacon, but that's all right because the beacon is 9 across, so that would be uh, it's getting close. I think about 40 aside would probably give us enough. I was initially thinking maybe going 50 if we have to. We could. Fill in that river a little bit to make more space. And honestly, we don't, with just a bit of creativity, we could avoid it. But anyway, I guess I should back up a little bit for your guys' sakes and just say that yeah, I didn't make it online yesterday. Not because I didn't want to or hadn't really planned or had planned on, like, hey, it's been too long. I need a mental health day. No, I was fine and ready to go. Um, what I wanted to do though was get a little better. All right, so 27 on this side would be a full 50. How far would that be? Oh man. Okay, before we get to this river valley. Um, yeah, no, I'd kind of thought, all right, I'm gonna mix it up. Again, today it's fairly early morning because I learned my lesson, but very often I do one, if not both, of the things in the early part of my day, and then I uh, am set and can. Man, we got a mess of stuff here. I guess I never did set out sleep. Um, that way I have everything up, and it's like, all right, now go about your day. You can do whatever you want. Well, yesterday I knew it wasn't that cold. Like the news was all hyping because when I woke up in the morning, it was like 0 degrees, but it was also bright and sunny, and um, got up into the 30s, bright sunshiny day, and snow that we have is still there, but it's melting very quickly. Things are looking pretty good out there. So it's certainly possible to be out and about, enjoying the day, all that kind of stuff. But it was chilly in the morning, and I decided, oh well, I'm gonna use this as a not going out, but like I said, clean the kitchen kind of stuff, run a couple loads of laundry, all that stuff that doesn't work super well when streaming or recording. And I pretty quickly I was like, if I don't rush to do any of this, that's okay. we've got we got time. So let's. Didn't I put the crafting table in? I guess not. Or did I already put it down somewhere? I don't think so. It's not over here. Nothing worse than making another crafting table. End up with them everywhere. Oh, come on. We'll get there. Oh, man. Or making extra chests, although possibly we will make use of all these. Doubt that. It's a lot of dirt capacity. All right. Dirts and dirts. Think we can do. We'll top off a stone and then can spill over as needed. But random vegetation-y stuff we're not gonna need. The brown shulker goes up here. There's all those crafting tables we carry around, and let's put these away. Alright, now we just have a bunch of wood. I guess we can leave in there. Oh, good. Oh, and some iron. Alright, now we can really set to level this all out. And like you can clearly see, we're going to start in the corner and work our way out. While I was not recording, because it was loud in here, so there's the initial part of the day when I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally going to do that. It's just going to be after I get done with all my machines running around me. So, washer, dryer, all that kind of stuff. While they were going, I was doing homework. I was going back and watching again and again and again. So much, it kind of got old. But what I realized is when I had jumped on board on the Logical Geek Boy train, I was misrecalling that that's not the Doc M farm that I thought I was doing. I kind of glanced at the video and was like, oh yeah, that's going to totally show me, because they're similar enough, right? They rely on the same principles. You need a scared villager to generate golems to protect it from the source of its fears. And so as I started looking more and more, I was like, oh yeah, the one that I wanted, it's got some wrinkles I've never dealt with before. And I don't know. I'm very intrigued, because I did go back through and rewatch over and over and over again. Maybe not that much, but I jumped around quite a bit trying to understand and play around with it. But I was like, all right, so how do I want to set this up? Do I do it just as it's done? Do I modify a little bit? Kind of try to make a bit of a hybrid. And the bottom line is I still don't know. We probably won't know until we start going, and then we decide if we need to make modifications on what we'd plan to do, or just build it as is, or who knows what. I am not liking how fast this shovel is going, by the way. We'll do something with all this edge, too. I don't want to have this particularly cut into a side of a hill. So yeah, I think that this area will be far more than enough, but I'm still a little stuck on what all the numbers are going to be when I have what I think will be the best way to go about getting this iron farm up and running. And basically, if you're familiar with Logical Geek Boy and his designs, there's a many watched video on efficient iron farms or iron farm efficiencies or something. And he basically does 3 different styles of farm and talks about each one and shows what they do to get efficiency and on and on and on. And of those, I'm looking at the middle farm just for kind of speed and lack of overall build requirements. The principle of the last farm, the most efficient, is basically like that of the traditional zombie egg gold farm or piglin egg gold farm, where you use nether portals and pull them through and then drop them. It's all good. But I think while those are cool, in terms of us trying to get this done, to get the shulker, to get the achievement, I don't want just kind of the one that barely gets by, because we had to sidetrack for this anyway, and I don't really want to have to stand at a farm forever just to get the iron we need, right? Because that's the other part. Once these go, even though they're in the spawn chunks, they gotta run while we're working on other stuff. So that's a factor. And my thinking here, or again, if you haven't been familiar with that, one of the cool things I think, and it's kind of telltale of him. It's why he's so awesome. He goes through and not just here's how you build a farm, blah 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 blah, because I lifted it up from somebody else. He goes through here's why, here's all the factors that go into how this farm gets built and why you do things at certain rates. So at the beginning of his farm, he talks about what makes a golem spawn. Where can it spawn? Where can't it spawn? Exactly what block is it that's being used to detect whether this space needs a block. So it's incredibly good stuff. If you're into learning the why as much as the how do I do that, he's your guy. Really good. And yes, I'm watching the shovel, but I am very much hoping we can get all of this done without having to repair. And since we only have one more shovel, we may go back and nurse some of those other shovels too. So anyway, he goes through talking about this is how far above, below, to the sides of a villager in an area and a golem can spawn. And this is the threat radius of the mob that you're going to use to scare it. And, oh, hey, by the way, some of those mobs are scarier from a much further distance than others. And I think I would have, and I think a lot of folks would, you kind of think, okay, well, that, if there's a range to being scared, as there is obviously for an iron farm, you'd think that's on the thing that's getting scared, right? How far can the villager see, hear, smell, sense, whatever? What is the villager's range to identify threats around it? Turns out that's not accurate. It's actually based on the mob itself rather than oh, that's a thunderstorm, I think, or was that just the effect? I saw a yellowy flash and I thought, okay, here we go. No, it was just the beacon. So when you're setting up any kind of farm, but a lot for iron farms, what you use to scare the villager can make a big difference on what that villager, how far away that villager needs to be, or how far scattered villagers need to be around a threat generating mob. And unlike 95% of the farms that you see on YouTube or on streams or anything like that, where, let's face it, most are variations of the Doc M, because one person makes one of those and then everybody's like, oh, that's the way you do it, and let's go do it. But as with so many things in Minecraft, there are lots of ways to get that effect in place, and at least of the videos I've seen, in terms of a all-in-one place, explain the whys, hows, and whats and all that, Logical Geek Boy does a really good job of helping me learn. Oh, okay, so this comes into play, and the cool and intriguing thing, and the thing I'd love to do, is he actually uses a pillager. Those guys with crossbows that show up every so often, and start plunking away the crossbows, and one of them has a banner, and that one chases you around and tries to start raids. Well, outside of their raid starting ability, they actually have a... Alright, now let's go swap out the shovel. A much, much larger threat area than just individual zombies do. I don't think we need this anymore, right? Alright, and then we can put this way. See how much extra this has? We're very frivolous with our earlier shovel uses. So what I kind of have been thinking about is, do we want to try to use and build exactly as he described with the pillagers? And for the radius, which I think in this, I still don't know any of the numbers, and that's why I kind of keep going back and back and back, because you think, oh, this is really simple, I get it, it makes total sense, go knock this out, and then you start going, wait, what were those? What was that distance again? And who has to look out for this and all that? And if if you're like me and you're trying to do that from a now I understand why I'm putting this here and there, that takes a long time to digest. When you're just following a guide, put this block here, do this, then it's a little bit different. So one of the things that is awesome about using those pillagers apparently instead of the zombies is the pillagers will threaten. I think it's 16, may only be 15, but for comparison, if you get a zombie in the box that's scaring the villagers and generating golems, they have a threat area of 8. So if they're within 8 blocks of the villager gets scared. That's why the villagers, if you like hang out in a village at night and watch the villagers all running around in a panic and opening their houses and letting the zombies in and getting into a bad situation, you're like, just go to bed, be safe. The reason they run around like that is because the zombies only threaten from 8 blocks distance. Whereas the pillagers, I want to say it's 16, but I'm not sure because 16 is a prominent number for some of the other stuff. But let's say it's 16, so double, and I think it may be 15 instead, but it's nearly double what those zombies will do. So, hey, that's really, really useful, and in terms of a build, you can then put one and basically set up a 4-sided square around that pillager that's big enough that golems can form on all sides without impacting your efficiency too much, and taking care of the spawn rates and everything else. So color me intrigued. Yeah, very much would like to play around with that. However, in the video I've been watching, it is not a build of the farm per se. The farm definitely gets built and all that, but he's doing it to explain the principles in creative, and so as he goes up to show you kind of like, all right, here's where you got to put them in and all that, he's just dropping a pillager into the little spot where he's going to occupy. He's not maneuvering them around. And there's a point, as some of you smart, intelligent people, because everybody that comes here is a smart, intelligent person, right? Well, as you guys may have already figured out, hey, those guys have crossbows. That's kind of dangerous. Like a zombie works really well because they don't shoot at things. So you can put them across some empty space from a villager, and the villager's going to stay there, not have a problem. Yeah, the pillagers, you actually have to take that threat away first. So they require a little bit of dealing with there. But then the other piece that I know nothing about is if you've done that, how hard or easy is it to manipulate them, move them around? The other piece is villagers, if you want to set them up in the farm, all you have to do is find one that will pick up. So like all these dirt blocks that we're gathering, right? You wait until nighttime, there's a bunch of zombies around, and then you start throwing dirt blocks everywhere, and the ones that pick up dirt blocks will not despawn on you. So they can be your candidates, and you don't have to burn name tags on just keeping them from despawning. Well, I don't know how any of that goes when we start talking about pillagers. And we may find that it's just really easy and a no-brainer, and I don't even need to think about it, but I don't know. And I'm kind of wondering, are we better off doing that, or doing the pillagers and trying to figure it out as we go and learning the hard way that, oh, this doesn't work, or wow, this is really dangerous and almost losing this world. Because I don't want to do that. Or just sacrificing a lot of the efficiency that we could have, the potential, and modifying the farm out. So, of course, before I start talking about this, when I'm not recording and in the world and all that, my thought is we're doing something a little different than what most everybody sees in content out there. So it'll be well received if we just do Logical Geek Boy's farm, but I modify it to use multiple zombies, and you guys can then see, oh, hey, that's how Hamage went around managing all of that stuff to make sure that the farm worked and, it was as efficient as possible. Probably not as efficient as the original design, but if you get up towards those levels, those questions become less and less important, right? Oh, hey, do we need extra chests of endless amounts of iron, or is what we've got there enough? So I don't know. We'll kind of see as I'm talking it through. I'm like, can't be that hard. Why don't we just do it the way it was designed, and spend some time playing around with the pillagers? But the other piece I don't know on the pillagers is how much or how little are they likely to be willing to follow us around, or how painful does that become when we're trying to get them into position? Because again, when you're watching the video, it's just a matter of throwing some little spawn blocks or whatever down, and boom, there's your guy in the thing. And a lot of the fun and challenge of these farms is trying to manipulate everybody into the right position. And oh, they didn't go. Why didn't they go there? What happened? Now we got to start all over again. With zombies, that's no big deal. It just becomes a matter of what do you guys think? I think we can get this little corner before we switch out the last shovel. And look, by the way, we've taken down so much dirt, I think we're going to make it. Got a full shovel left to go. Yeah, let's gather up all this stuff and we'll just trade out the shovels. So I'd really like to give it a try with the pillagers and do the whole thing. However, if that doesn't work out, or we find that it gets problematic, like, okay, we were so close, but now we need another one to try again, and that means we've got to wait for or go wander around until we can find a new pillager raid. I don't know. That stuff could add a lot of time to trying to set up the farm. Just doing the regular good old zombies is a good alternative, but it means I'm tweaking the design and thinking, all right, this is going to go, and that introduces design problems potentially, and those can be far worse, because then we may have to scrap the whole area and start from scratch to space everything. Because, if this is our area, right, you basically have a zombie, or I'm sorry, a pillager or a zombie in a center block. Let's put it here. Oh, wow. Remember, we got haste 2 on, huh? All right, so that our zombie or pillager sits in this hole, and he bounces, right? Because there's water, and so he's always trying to stay on the surface of the water, but he'll settle back down again. And you have blocks here so that occasionally his head is up and the villagers see him and are scared, and occasionally he's hidden, and at night they can go to sleep, which is very important in the spawning of golems. So if you've got a zombie in here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, your villager sits here and here, eight blocks out, all the way around, right? And between them or outside of them are then the zombie spawners, and I think they actually go diagonally. So you have for maximum space, so not here. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you'd put them here. Well, actually, no. You would modify those kind of things based on which one you want to use, I think, because you have to kick them out to the corners. So if it's a pillager here, you're actually coming out close to the 15, whatever the counting is, and that would put him close to this corner, right? I didn't map this out, but let's say here is 14 or 15, or whatever the distance is that you're at the maximum spot with your villager where he can be standing between his bed options and looking back at the pillager that wants to scare him and make a golem. And then you make just behind that a area where the golem can actually spawn, because all this is going to be way up in the sky above us, right? We're not doing this on ground level. So you make a platform that's accessible for golems to spawn, and they can get pushed off and managed and processed out of sight and mind, where these guys can be generating more. That's all part of driving the efficiency. So platform, but these platforms, so let's say this is villager, right? And then I think there's a gap, and then like a 5x5. So all the rest of this out to the wall from here up to there, and from here up to there is a platform with golems, and water pushes them off and drops them down out of sight, out of mind for everybody else. But the distance between this, the edge of the golem area, and this corner over here where the next villager is and his golem sits, that has to be enough that when my villager number 1 is sitting outside his bed here, he doesn't look up and go, oh, there's a golem over there. I don't need to be scared anymore, because you don't want these individual villagers to prevent one another from creating more and more and more golems. So the spacing is important. And if we go down to with the pillager, they can all sit on the corners, and the space between is enough that villager to golem doesn't get scared. So you can do 4 in an area, no problem. They're all cranking out at max potential, as many golems as they can from 4 sides. And those go down and get processed, and we get lots of iron, are happy, and there we go. If we do a zombie in here, then it's much smaller. Then the villagers' corners are out to about here, and with the platforms behind them on the corners, now we're looking at not enough space. So if villager here, only a few blocks out from the zombie, is scared, he looks up, well, villager B over there already just generated a golem, so he goes, oh, I don't have to worry about it. And until that golem goes out of the picture, so to speak, he's going to feel fine and not even try to generate one. And then same will go back and forth. So you may have multiple villagers, but they're going to cancel one another out because their spawning platforms are too close to one another. So my thought is we've got zombie here, or instead of zombie here, we move zombie over to here, and go 8 out in each direction horizontally instead of diagonally, then put up our villagers, put up the same thing, I think we can use the same footprint so that the villagers are put in beds at the same place, but they'll be far enough apart that each of these can work independently, and instead of having one central zombie, we'll have two, one on either side, and they're both just feeding off of him and ready to go. So does gathering up two zombies that I know how to manipulate, and well, it's still a headache, it'll still be full of challenges, does that make up for trying to work with an unknown entity of pillager and all that? I think, at least my hope is that either way we'll have enough to be getting started on, and if we get any groups of random pillagers around, we may try to catch a few and start experimenting, sounds awful, on how they work, what we would need to make that a reality. So, I don't know. I am very much undecided on which way we want to go. I don't want to have to then turn around and make a raid farm or something like that just to manage the pillagers. But if learning how to pacify them makes it so that I can move them around easier, maybe we go over to our raid area, get a pillager, and run him over here through the nether. And if that's the case, then wow, this is actually pretty doable. And we can start using them a longer term. I also have no idea how we are set for name tags. And can we? I think we can trade for name tags, right? Isn't there a villager that sells them? So we may have to villager up a salesperson to sell us. Maybe like the cleric sells those. I don't know. But I could see it needing a few attempts and not wanting to lose any of them to despawning. And of course, working here in the spawn chunks, despawning is always a thing, right? You don't just run away, and obviously it kind of can't work both ways, right? You can't have the farm cranking out iron and golems and all the entities and not have your mob or your villagers loaded into the game. So we definitely want to make sure that they aren't going to despawn on us. And again, that's handy object guys versus not handy object guys in the case of zombies, but in pillagers, I think it's 100% name tag to keep them around. So, or in a boat, but they can't be in the boat when they're in the farm itself. So we could catch them and effectively leave them in place, but that would be about as far as we could go. And eventually, as always, these are kind of the big talking things, but once we have this monstrosity floating up in the sky, I would like to enclose it in something decorative. I mean, it doesn't have to be entirely hidden from view, or pretending it's not what it is. I'm thinking kind of like the darkroom spawner, where at least we used some decorative blocks and gave it a look that's something a little more than just a bunch of dirt up in the sky kind of deal, right? Um, so yeah, I've been working on it. I would open up in the comments. Again, I'm not looking for quotes spoilers so much, but I am curious. Have you guys ever used pillagers in any of your farms? In some kind of a survival or hardcore world where you didn't just get to spawn them in, you didn't get to just put them into peaceful mode. You actually had to manage it. And is that a worthwhile thing to accomplish, or is it just does it just make sense in a YouTube video because there you can go back in under the hood, set everything up, and then let it run without having to do the actual mob juggling around. I think it might be fun to try. At least take a look at it and see, kind of quickly back off if we don't like it. Or we think this is going to add 6 months to trying to get the rail we need to move the shulker. If that's the case, we're out, right? Oh, this is a fun square of digging. All right, this was our stone box. This is going to be our extra resource box. This is our current dirt. And just fill that. That. And that. So yeah, for sure, let me know in the comments what if any thoughts you guys have on that. I did want to take a moment to shout out to the little wave of subs we've had. Much appreciate you guys dropping by. They are really appreciated in YouTube. It helps increase the little footprint and visibility of these, and he brings in some new friends, and that's the ideal. Now, Twitch is going great too. And have really had some fun with that. I don't know if I'm gonna get back again tonight. it's Friday, lots of stuff going on, and yeah, it's awesome. It's fun. I was kind of going every day and loving it, but that also, when you've already done an hour video recording and then do 4 of live streaming and then also are, at least around enough to process those up and deal with the comments and the scheduling and all that kind of stuff, that's already like a full-time job, just for something that I enjoy doing. That's pretty big commitment that regularly. Especially when days are short and when I try to go out and do stuff and then come back and go, oh man, now I don't have enough hours left to do it. So I don't know. I kind of feel like with the snowstorm and everything, I've just been doing a bit of recharging on that front. I also am was that? Sorely tempted. I want to start doing something maybe Minecrafty over there too. But I don't want to betray this world, and this world will always be a YouTube world, and I think there will always be some kind of a YouTube hardcore Minecraft going on. And it's easy enough to say, oh, well, this one's the HCMC world. Just make a new hardcore world over there, but only do builds, or just make it non-advancement driven whatsoever. Just kind of do the stuff that you're feeling at the moment, and it's an idea, but when you do those kind of things, you start getting I'm really fired up doing this, and I'm not as fired up doing that, and that's how you end up with a lot of streamers that just let things drop off, right? And I want to see these things through to completion, um, not just have both. And I don't want to be at that. Oh no, that wasn't this world. That was the other world. Sorry. Oh, you guys should just be expected to know what I'm talking about, right? I know that different audiences, different communities, and different levels of engagement and involvement and all that. So, despite talking about the things back and forth a little bit, I don't want to make it where if you're watching the YouTubes, you don't have a clue what I'm talking about most of the time because you don't use Twitch, or vice versa. If you're cool enough to come and chat and hang out with me or watch the VODs or whatever on Twitch, and everything that I talk about over there is tied into the content that's already up on YouTube, it's it's kind of dismissive of those different groups of people, and I'm grateful to all of you guys for wanting to come and hang out. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I think the long and short of today is I don't know that I yet have enough time to just dive back in and drop another 4 hours in Stardew. Although, man, our Stardew is so fun, and I have such a Jones for it. I actually was looking up, and here we go, right? Because we haven't played Stardew over here. There's a quote in the game, nothing relevant to what we're doing right now, but one of the NPCs at one point says, "Don't ever steal a raven's egg. They can hold a grudge for a lifetime." And I've seen it a couple times over all my playing. I don't remember. I think it's like every other year in a festival that the dialogue comes up. So it's not all that common. But every time it just cracks me up. I'm like, who came up with that, and what does that mean? Well, I got to Googling it, and like, what were the writers thinking about when they decided that this was something to put into the game? And I don't know if it's because it was current when the game came out, or what, or if it's just a whole meme and none of it is legit. But I found all these articles from like 2017 that were this study about ravens holding grudges, like real life. And I don't know, it was in one of the unless it was just totally faked out. And again, I didn't click on any of these. I was like, oh, okay, there seems to be something to that. So I just read the Google search headlines. But there were scientific journals that were talking about these studies that researchers had done, that if they went with tamed ravens that are corvids, and part of this is corvids. Is it corvids? The types of birds that crows and blackbirds, and not blackbirds, but crows and jays, I think, and ravens are all the same family. They're madly intelligent birds. Some of the smarter, or at least more interrelatable birds to ourselves. And I knew about this from way back, an adult, when I was a young man in the working world. Told me a little bit about when he was a kid. He and his brothers, and he had multiple brothers, they found an injured crow. I think it was a crow in their yard one day. And so they kind of, nursed it back to health. I don't know what was wrong with it or anything like that, but they had, kind of rescued this bird. And as far as I know, I think it was free to go and come as it liked, but it just kind of decided, oh, hey, I'm going to hang out around this house. And this is in the upper Midwest where winters are harsh, and I think even those types of birds may move and stuff. But it, as I recall, and I heard this story, I didn't live it, and it was, like nearly 35 years ago when I heard it. Is that right now? Over nearly 30 years ago when I heard it. That this bird would come back and, basically knew that they would feed it by hand. And they're mimic birds. They will learn and repeat sounds. So, like parrots, you can teach them to speak in effect. Teach them some words and they'll cycle through them or say that, repeat them back to you. So they taught this crow to be kind of a free range pet, if you will, and it basically was kind of their friend for years. And I think, as I recall, it was seasonal. Like it would go and then leave for the winters and come back and hang out, on their eaves and all that, living in their neighborhood. But it would come to their house and it would talk to them, so they knew it was the same bird. It would just repeat back these sounds, and they'd come out and feed it bread or whatever, whatever they had. Again, long time ago. But the effect was, one, this bird interacted with them. Two, it remembered and knew that their house and those people were friendly and would feed it. Now, I don't know, how many other houses was that bird landing on and scaring the crap out of people, going, bah! Feed me, Seymour. I don't know, but they recognized it was fun. So all of the scientific study stuff makes sense to me. But apparently, these researchers with these actual ravens, they do like feeding experiments and things with captive test subject ravens. Not that they were, like dyeing them with makeup or anything like that. No, they were just doing these experiments to kind of see how smart they were. Think the mouse in the maze with a block of cheese, right? Does the mouse get faster, or is it just random chance on whether it turns left and right enough times to get to the cheese? Well, I don't know. Again, I have read some Google headlines and had a game NPC 1-off throwaway comment to fuel this. Apparently the researchers would like remove food, and the ravens would know which of the staff or the researchers did it, and they would hold a that was the thing, the name of the study or the write-up or whatever was do ravens hold grudges? And so cool that, like, all the things that they were like, yes, you can reasonably make an assumption that in order for this behavior to be exhibited, that the raven knew that if one researcher was trustworthy, right, and that was the idea, if they offered a piece of food to the raven, it was believable, and the raven could just confidently eat it up. But the other one there, maybe it had stuff that looked and smelled and appeared like food, but really was plastic. What? I don't know. I don't know how they fooled these ravens, or how the one became untrustworthy, but they were not dependable as the source of food. They were the teasing one, right? So Raven thinks it's going to get treated one way, and then boom, it doesn't. It gets a less favorable result. And over time, I'm assuming, then the Raven would exhibit that it was holding a grudge by it would not go to the one that was the untrustworthy handler. It would go to the trustworthy one, right? That's how I'd set it up. And that would exhibit that these ravens were holding grudges, as the researchers termed it. But they're just trying to maximize their scavenging ability by going to their reliable food source, not assuming they used food, but not the inconsistent food source. And we think that they're scavenging birds. That makes a lot of sense. They don't want to waste flying and time resources going to food sources that basically are long shots. They want to go to the sure thing. So that's a part of it. But the researchers were inferring that a lot about how intelligent ravens were from this, because in order to hold that grudge, air quotes, right, the ravens had to be able to recognize the face, right? Facial recognition, think the software and all that kind of stuff, but they had to be able to tell the difference between Bob and Susie. And let's say Bob is the untrustworthy research assistant, and Susie is the trustworthy one. Well, the proof of the grudge, again, air quotes, is that the raven is not going to Bob, it's going to Susie every time. And yeah, I don't know that this tree is that awesome. If it was like a big tree or something, we might keep it. Maybe we'll plant a new tree in memory of this tree once we get everything all set up. How long have we been going? We're getting close, right? But not over. Whew, we're really close. 57 minutes. All right, let's go pick up all these pieces. I will try to wrap up the Raven stuff. I just think it's really cool, and it tells me something that when I was doing the photography stuff and looking at birds and all that, that I knew, as acceptable there was that among the various bird species, ravens are considered, or any of their family are considered very intelligent. Now that's all relative, right? But it's certainly a interesting thing, and I think it's one of those things. All this started from me talking about how much I want to get back and stream some more Stardew, and I will. I love that game because there are those things that are so tucked away and hidden, and they're not quite Easter eggs in the same sense of they're only there, they're designed to be found there. No, it's just a built-in part of that style game's conversations, right? You don't want the same character to say the same thing every 5 times, or it will get very consistent and very relative over time. But if as you go through every 100th conversation that you have with those people on a random day in a random set of circumstances, you get this just, hey, let's give this person something interesting. They got something weird on their mind. They're going to say it and share it with your character. I love that. And I love, because for all that time, I thought that must be referencing another game or a movie or something in pop culture or a meme. I don't know. And, it didn't jump out immediately when I started looking at it online. So if you guys know anything behind the Ravens holding grudges deal, let me know. But I love the idea that it did originate out of a scientific study of a bunch of researchers, and um, they had reason to look into it further. And that somebody out there was like, oh, I saw this news headline. You know what? Let's have this character talk about that in our game. And 10 years later, here you go. It's like, oh, yeah, let's talk about that thing that the character talked about. I love it. Crazy how life is like that. So you guys got a better taste of where I'm at in thinking about this farm. It will be up in the air above us here. And we'll want to do we'll want to make some decisions. So once we get another ground clearing thing, and we'll probably have to go repair a little bit just so that we have tools that we can continue to use. But on the back end of that, we will need to go find, I think, some pillagers to at least see if it's feasible and what they do. If we can get them pacified, we'll get a volunteer, try to get him sorted up. And then the other thing I don't know is when you have these vertical modular farms, do we want to start at the bottom and build up? I think so. And that could take some time because I don't know. I think at least a couple tiers of it would be good. More, we're probably just going to go OP and start pulling away a lot of time from completion. But stacking them up higher gives us more and more and more resources long term. And I think 2 is good, right? Because if anybody comes in here and hangs out and goes, "Oh, you got an iron farm? What's your iron farm?" 2 shows that it's modular and that it can stack, and it is pretty cool. If we then, 5 years from now still have this world and are doing some massive project and need a ton of iron for it, then we just add up a few more modules, because by that point we'll know how to do it. We'll just it'll take a lot longer to get it done. So I don't know. We'll see what all goes into this great project of ours. But I appreciate you guys being around, and I really, really do thank those people that are reaching out and hitting that sub button. The likes and comments, greatly appreciated as well. It's fun to hear from you all in the comments. I think that's the best part. And I can't wait to see you back for the next one. Keep an eye out on Twitch. Don't trust the schedule. In fact, I think I'm going to probably clear the decks on the schedule and just reset. I think that's part of it. Like when I realize I've already missed stuff when I look, because a week ago I was going at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and on another morning I just dive into Minecraft. Like today, I haven't even looked yet to see if I'm missing out on a scheduled Twitch stream. So I think I'm going to ditch that for now. It gives you guys a chance to see when I might be going live, but at this point I don't know, and I think Twitter is probably the best way. I don't know. We'll keep a couple up there, just to keep the schedule. Let folks have an idea, and then if they want to come and rage tweet me to say you weren't on and I was trying to look, I can be like, oh wow, awesome! I'm glad you were there trying to hang out, and we'll get you next time, kind of deal. But anyway, you guys take care. Think about pillagers versus zombies. Any of your experiences, go check out Logical Geek Boy. He's got an amazing variety of builds and tutorials and insightful stuff out on his site or his YouTube channel. So strong recommendation. I've always enjoyed his stuff. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't say Doc M77, who is the one who created the farm that I initially thought I was building when I looked at the Logical Geek Boys. It's great as well. I'm not knocking it. If you have one of the Doc M farms, you're just as good. That one, basically, I think the difference is that you put clusters of villagers on opposite edges and then put the golems in the middle, and they all spawn in the middle. I don't know. We're going to go with this one, though, because I haven't done it before, and it looks awesome. And I think I'm talking myself into at least trying with the pillagers and seeing how far they go. So we got a level and a half left to clear out of this in the next one. Then we'll probably try to go find some pillagers and see if this even is feasible and go from there. Take care, everybody. Really appreciate y'all, and we'll see you for the next one. Stay awesome out there, all right? But I can't get back to the thing. All right. See you later, guys.